Welcome to the squad. He's Icewater, I'm Puma, and the squad is sponsored by Rayon Cognac. Join the movement. Contact us at www.rayoncognac.com. We're going to talk some NBA playoffs. That's starting. We're going to also talk about some stuff that that kind of really just bothering us at this particular point in sports. We're going to talk about that. And there's a lot of subjects that's bothering us. And we're going to also talk about, and one of the things is Major League Baseball. It sucks right now. So we're going to talk about that right now. The Dodgers are the only team that really have a great record. We're going to talk about a lot of things in this particular episode, but we're going to touch on a lot of different things. We're not going to go to the regular format with what's on your mind, son, or last second shots. We're just going to kind of vent on this particular episode of the squad. So let's talk about the NBA playoffs, man. The NBA playoffs to me, Ice, is like a big letdown after the college tournament. Even though it wasn't the best college tournament as far as officiating, you watch the NFL or the NBA playoffs, and I'm like, you know what? Wow, I really got to get into this and watch teams kind of go at it. And we'll talk about some of the things that we don't like about it. But I had a chance to watch several games in the playoffs. I watched the Knicks beat Atlanta. Atlanta is to me, a real good team that deserved to be in the playoffs. And I didn't know really how good they were until I started watching them yesterday, because I live in Chicago, and so you're inundated with the Chicago Bulls. I'm a Knicks fan in Chicago, so that makes it worse. And so I didn't get a really good look at Atlanta, but they have a pretty decent team. Don't know if they have enough to win in this first round. I had a chance to watch Denver and Minnesota, and Minnesota is in desperate need of a point guard, because to me, it's like they're not reading the game right. As far as when you got a hot player, you either go to the hot player. I'll go to that a little bit later. But what is your eye test on the playoffs so far?
After the play-in games and all the other stuff, when I started watching the actual playoffs. Of course, first thing that came out of my mind, which surprised me, was the Lakers versus the Rockets. And I'm watching part of the game. I come in late and I saw that the Lakers were winning, and I said, something must be wrong. What is going on? And I found out that Kevin Durant wasn't playing game one. And I was thrown for a loop. I'm like, what happened? And then, of course, I turned into Puma, started thinking about conspiracy theory
And you
as
know what?
to,
I didn't want to say it. I was sitting there watching it, and I'm like, okay, two of the Lakers stars are down. So maybe a call got, hey, you got to lose one of your stars, and the biggest star you got is KD. And I was shocked too. I was like, what's going on? This is supposed to be a playoff game. You're supposed to be gearing up. You got some rest. Why aren't you playing?
yeah, I don't know. And I'm hoping that is not the case. I'm hope that Durant was really hurt and maybe that was the coach's call, but I'm not certain. It would definitely makes it more, I guess, entertaining for people. The fact that now the Lakers are up 1-0, but they might have tried to fool us with some fantasy, but I'm sure Durant will be back. We'll just have to see how that plays out. One of the other series I think is great is the Nuggets versus the Timberwolves. You mentioned about the Timberwolves not having a point guard, and the Nuggets are really coming into their own right now, particularly with they're getting their bench back. People are getting healthy. They're playing a certain kind of way. When you have sometimes 5 to 6 different players that are in double figures, and the way that I think it was the Cameron Johnson that
Yeah.
pickup there was
Yes.
amazing. Was amazing pickup for them because he's the type of guy that he just fills in. Whatever they need, he fills in. And he's very complimentary. The same way what I will say this. I remember Aaron Gordon in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And watching him in Denver, man, he is just a whole different guy. He's a complete basketball player. Offensively, defensively, he does whatever they need for him to do. He has transcended into an amazing basketball player. So I really like them. I will say this, even though the games are coming up, and for instance, like they play a game tonight, I'm impressed with Portland. I am. I said that before. I mentioned to you about Portland coming on. I know they're young. The thing is about Portland, the franchise, the powers that be in the front office just need to be patient. Don't have a fire sale if they get blowed out by the Spurs, right? Just be patient and kind of add a little bit here. Don't do nothing crazy because right now you're on the right track. I would say the same thing too, even though they lost previously, Charlotte, the same way too. Don't get crazy. You got a good thing going right now. They're on the upswing, which has not been the case in what, 10 years since they were able to come to the playoffs, right? Or even getting close to the playoffs. Don't mess it up. You see teams like that. And as we go down the line, we could talk about it more, but don't mess it up. And I guess the question now is, if I ask you off the top of your head, going down the line, who do you see if you had to pick teams for the finals right now? I know we just started, but off the top of your head, who would you say if you had to pick teams going to the finals, who would it be?
I was looking at that, and I was just thinking about this. I don't know. I really don't know. But the only team, because people are going to pick OKC because they're defending champions. But I could see Denver beating them. I could see Denver beating them the way that Denver is playing, and they assembled that team and reshuffled a little bit. I could see them winning that. Boston is real hot. I mean, they put a thumping on the Sixers. Be careful what you ask for, Philly fans, because you said you wanted Boston after that, after the last game of the season, and you got them, and they put a thumping on you. Tatum and Brown are teaming up to be a formidable force, and so I got to look at Boston. I'm going to look at the Knicks. I know I'm a Knicks fan, but I got to look at the Knicks the way they have assembled that team, and they got a solid bench. And the way they handled Atlanta, Atlanta was a team that was there for they have nothing to lose, and I think the Knicks have to really kind of make some adjustments on defense. Cat is playing really well. You have JB that's playing really well. You have that team playing really well at a high level. Just got to hunker down on defense. I think they could be there if they can go up against Boston and match up against Boston. But for the Western Division, I gotta go with San Antonio, bro. And that's another team that I think that could beat OKC. They may be a year away, but I think they could do some damage here with Wembley and that those guys. I think they could do some damage. I'm not looking at Houston. I'm not looking at the Lakers. I'm not looking at Phoenix. I mean, Minnesota. Like I said earlier, you got to get a point guard because when you got a guy that got the hot hand like Randall, and you got a point guard who could see that in the game. Let's go with the hot hand until he's not hot anymore. Because usually in the playoffs, players get hot. You got to keep going to them if the other team can't make the adjustments to stop them. And so, putting at point guard, not going to get it done for Minnesota. I think they're a talented team, and I don't trust Gobert. I speak of a talented team outside of Gobert. I don't trust Gobert. He's going to give you something, maybe not. I don't know. The Lakers, done. I don't care if they bring Luca and the other guy back. They're just done. They're done. And you putting Bronny in to make history with LeBron and his son. Okay, the show's over. Even Laker fans. I talk to a lot of Laker fans here in Chicago and around the country, and they say, you know what, the show with LeBron is over with. They're done with it. And so I'm not looking at Cleveland to do too much. Detroit, maybe if this is their first time, being the front runner, who knows? But they gotta be careful of Orlando. That series starts today. Gotta be careful of Orlando because if they're not careful, they'll get into long series and they won't have anything left to get to the finals. So this is their first time in this position. And that's why I'm picking the Knicks and I'm picking Boston because they've been here before. They know how to pace themselves. They know how to make adjustments from game to game. Detroit, first time here, not sure. Even though you're first in the conference, not sure that you're going to have that experience. And in this particular playoff run, experience is going to count for a lot. Your thoughts?
Yep. I can see where you're going. My scenarios, there's a couple of scenarios, things that can happen that will kind of determine who goes further, right? For instance, you mentioned about the Knicks. We can start right there. I think they have enough talent, and I think Mike Brown is really going to be helpful in the playoffs because of his experience and his expertise. And I think they get past the Hawks. Then the question is, after that, if they have to play Boston, We're going to find out. I'm not sure if the Knicks have enough people to beat Boston. That's just me. And I'm being very impartial. But let's say, for instance, they are able to get past Boston. I think that opens the door for the Knicks. I think it opens the door. But they're gonna have to prove they're able to grind and beat Boston. They can beat Boston and then they move on where they might end up playing whoever might be Detroit or the Cavs or something like that. And then when you flip on that scenario, I like the way that the Pistons are playing. I like they play hard. If they can play the way they've been playing the rest of the earlier in the year, beat the Magic, Cavaliers will probably beat the Raptors. I think Detroit can beat Cleveland. I do. I like the way that they play. I think they have nothing to lose and they're playing like that. And then again, if the Knicks win, can beat Boston, then I think that opens the door. Because I think the Knicks, the way that they play, would not can really give with their experience, and Mike Brown can give Detroit some problems if it's that way. If the Knicks get past Boston, I think that's going to open the door for them possibly getting to the finals. But that's a big if in the second round. Switching over to the West, the way you see it is, I think it's kind of like the Thunder, are like Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. They won it last year, and if nobody else steps up, they'll take it. I mean, I think that they won last year. They may not be as hungry, but they're damn good. So if nobody else wants it, they'll say, "Oh yeah, we'll get it." But if there's a couple teams over in the West that I think can give them a run for their money. So the way I'm looking at it, I think that the Thunder can beat either if they surpass and get past the Suns, as we think they will. I think they have easy time with either the Lakers or the Rockets, right? I think they make that happen, moving on from the second round. And then we drop down to the other area of the bracket where you had the Spurs and Blazers. I think the Spurs will get past the Blazers. Then you have the Nuggets and Timberwolves looking like it looks like the Nuggets will get past the Timberwolves. It's still early, but that's what I'm kind of projecting. Then we will have Spurs Nuggets, right? And the Spurs are really good, and they shown you all year long. Wemby, they can get by, they can beat anybody. They literally have handled OKC, if you will,
Yeah,
during the regular season,
yeah,
and I give you that. And they played really hard. But and if it's another scenario, like on the other side, if the Spurs were to able to get past the Nuggets, I can see them going to the finals.
yeah, yeah,
But that's a big if because right now the Nuggets they're kind of somewhat healthy, playing really good basketball. It's the Joker, and Wemby is amazing. It took me 2 years to really give him his just due because I was like he just seemed like a fluke. But I watched the Olympics and I'm watching him every game, and I'm gonna give him his just due. My only issue with the Spurs right now is the factor that can you receive the effort you need from some of the younger players, like the rookie of the year last year, some other folks too. We know DeAndre Fox is going to do his thing, but can we receive enough contributions from some of the other guys? And against Denver, you're going to need that because Denver's locked and loaded. They're ready to play. If that happens, uh, whoever comes out of that, here's what I'm saying to you. If the Spurs can beat Denver, and move on, I think they got a good shot against OKC, right? And I think if Denver wins, I think they got a good shot at OKC. OKC was taken to the brink of elimination last year versus Denver.
yeah,
So I think whoever comes out of Denver and the Spurs, if they come to play, they can win it. But then on the flip side, if the Thunder get hot and they win it, like Tom Brady, if you don't play well, they'll get you. So I love that. So with all that being said, I don't know. Like I told you, I think if Boston is right there, they're looking real good. The Pistons would surprise me on that side. And the Knicks, like I said, if they get past Boston, Knicks will be right there. And I'm throwing the Thunder as that wild card, if you will. If you don't want it, they'll take it. And then the other two would be the Nuggets and the Spurs. And I just think the Spurs are just a year off or two. I think they need a couple more pieces because you need in the playoffs, what people don't understand, you need the same energy and the same production that you're receiving in the regular season in the playoffs. And as much as everybody wants to say, oh, they're going to do this and that, it does not always turn out that way. Things happen. You go, well, What happened to his game? How come that guy's not doing what he did? It's a different monster. It's a different animal. What you did in the regular season, even if you had a great record, it does not always carry over. This is not college basketball where you got to win 6 games, right? You win 6 games and you're the champion. No, this is different things, different matchups and series and more than one game. So it goes a long way. But I'm excited because we're seeing, as we mentioned, and we'll talk about that here in a minute, I guess the changing of the guard in a lot of ways. And I like it that OKC is standing up there when a lot of people didn't think they was going to win it last year. So now we're not looking at the big time dynasty teams anymore. We're looking at some newer teams or some teams that have been on the edge, which I think makes for great basketball. How that OKC could possibly repeat, or we could have something weird. Lord knows you and so many other people have been waiting forever on the damn Knicks. So maybe that comes to fruition. It's a lot of maybes, which makes it great for basketball. Like I said, I haven't really been excited about NBA basketball during the regular season, but I'm damn sure excited now because it's the playoffs. And you know, you say you don't really like NBA, but you got to be excited about right now what's going on in the playoffs.
Yeah, let's talk about the play-in because I've been saying this for the last few years that they put the play-in. I think the first year, I think it was a little bit more exciting because it was something new. But to me, the newness has worn off, and you have these teams who couldn't crack the top eight in the regular season, and you're expecting them to play in to get to the top eight and to do some damage after that. Usually, I think there's only one time in history where the number 8 seed beat the number 1 seed. So
Mhm.
it's not. I can understand it in college basketball because you have, 300 plus teams that are trying to get in the tournament, and you want to get more. Which, by the way, I heard that they're trying to increase it to I think 76 teams. We'll talk about that on another time because I know that kind of messes you up a little bit. But anyway, what the playing is played out, and the Warriors had a great playing game against the Clippers, and I was hoping the Clippers had enough to put the Warriors out of their misery. I mean, they're not a dynasty anymore. We keep holding on to them because of Curry. Of course, everybody loves Curry. You had the Hornets, which was exciting to see them win against the Heat and put the Heat out of their misery. Everybody hadn't saw the Hornets all year, got a chance to see how exciting basketball was this season with them in the NBA. But then they get to the next game where they had to play the Magic and they get blown out. And then the Warriors look like the old men that they are. They got blown out too against Phoenix. So to me, it's like we're postponing the inevitable. Let these teams die out. They didn't make the top eight. Quit giving out participation awards like you'll get a shot to get in at the end of the season if you can beat these two teams. Let's let these teams rest, the top eight rest, and then go and start the playoffs instead of, really kind of giving these teams and the cities false hope that their team is going to make the playoffs and they're going to make this miraculous run for a championship. It's not going to happen. And I know that what they're doing with it, they're making more money. They're making more money. I watched the first play-in. I didn't expect Golden State to win the second. I didn't expect Charlotte to win the against the Magic. It was just fun to kind of see them. Let's use it as entertainment, maybe to get the 8 and 7 teams, seeded teams, a little bit more practice to get to the playoffs. But I think it's played out, bro. I really think it's played out. And we're going to talk a little bit later about the change in the guard. It's almost like it's holding on to teams that don't have it anymore and giving them some hope that they can just turn on, the switch one more time to make that run. Because that's what people in Golden State were talking about, like, oh man, this is it. We're gonna make a run now. No, it's not gonna happen.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I told you we are going to disagree on this. I
I
told you
know.
before this. So, and I don't get it. I get it. You say we're wasting time. Why do we need that? But there are two reasons why I think the play-in should continue. I've been talking about Charlotte all year long. I told you when I saw
Yeah.
Charlotte, I said, hey, Charlotte is fun. They're watchable. And keep in mind, it's been 10 years. 10 years. And Charlotte technically didn't really make the playoffs. They made the play in, right? Still been 10 years. But the way that they played and they came in beating certain teams you didn't expect, it was fun to watch, despite the ball incident and everything, whatever against
That
Miami.
Cooper incident.
Yeah, oh yeah, Jack, another Jack Tripper. But that's for another time. I will discuss that. Not this time, but another time. Maybe at the end of the actually, we're not doing last second shot, so we can't do it. But
Yeah,
anyway,
but they might have a
but
game today where he shows up.
yeah. But the point of it is that I think that two things: the way that Charlotte played, and a lot of people didn't get a chance to see Charlotte, right? And when you saw Charlotte in the first game versus Miami, and to have I mean, a quasi whatever playoff game in Charlotte, the fans are going nuts. They're going crazy. And granted, that's just for more money, but that was exciting. Same way with Portland. Portland was like, oh man, these young teams. And to me, that's what it's about. Again, as I mentioned earlier, it gives you hope, a little hope where if the front office doesn't mess this up, they might be a little better than they were last year. This year and in the future, they might be better. And that's what I think basketball is missing. When you look at the whole thing about OKC, you kind of saw them coming up slowly but surely. Finally, they got it together and they were like, we're ready to take over. I think that's how you build it, where you get out of the way. Front offices stop messing it up. Let these young guys play, let them grow, put a good nucleus together and build. You go way back to 79, 80 when all these other teams were dominating and whatnot. Magic and Bird come on the scene. It changed basketball. The Lakers were cool, but you come in, they had Norm Nixon, the old guard. They were trying to do some things, move around a little bit, get rid of Norm Nixon, bring in a young Byron Scott. Everybody lost their minds. Magic's here. Magic makes a change. Boston come in, they draft Larry Bird a year early and cheating in there anyway, allegedly, doing all kind of stuff. They got their guy, but their guy served them well for years. It changed the NBA as we know it. That's exciting. Ball, Miller, some other guys that on the squad can change basketball in Charlotte, can change basketball in Portland. That's what I'm excited about. Let's get some young guys some continuity and watch them walk up. Jordan and the Bulls finally defeat the bad boys. All of that. The bad boys finally beat. It's a tier type thing. That's exciting to me. But you keep messing up the same old people over and over. James Harden on 19 teams, you're never gonna win. I don't want to see that. I want to see growth, and it starts with the playing games.
Okay, we're gonna agree to disagree on that because you can't get it done in the regular season. Ain't no way you're gonna get it done in the playing game, and it's exciting to see. But show that excitement during the season. I think Charlotte did. They showed a lot of excitement, and they got a lot of people watching them towards the end of the season. And the playing game maybe helped them out a little bit with the fans seeing it again. Okay, I get it, but let's use them as entertainment at this particular point. Even though the NBA talked about, it's entertainment, let's use them as entertainment, like, consolation prize. Maybe those teams play for the number one draft pick. Maybe the 9 and 10 teams and the rest of the teams play for a tournament instead of having the in-season tournament on who deserves to get the number one draft pick, have those teams play, and then we can start the playoffs instead of giving them the false hope that they're going to get to the 8th spot and they're going to win a championship. It's not going to happen. So I'd rather them do that than do a playing game like they could really actually get into the playoffs.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna leave it right there. I'm gonna let you have the last word.
Oh, thank you, because I don't get that sometimes. Anyway, the changing of the guards, because you mentioned earlier about the changing of the guards. Golden State, the dynasty is pretty much done. You had Steve Kerr talk to Green and Curry at the end of the game, say, "I love you guys. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I love you guys." Wanted to say that. I think he knows that they got to make a lot of changes. They got to rebuild at this particular point. And we've been saying it for the last 2 or 3 years that there got to be some player movement here. How long is Al Horford going to play there and help them out and help them win a playing game? You talked about players that got injured. You talk about the younger players. And what is Golden State going to do at this particular time to get back to the status that they were before? I don't know how long Curry is going to play. I don't know how long he's going to be with them because the way that team is situated now with Butler, you don't know what he's going to bring when he comes back, and other players on that team. You got some young players on that team that still need development. You don't know. And you look at teams that were on the top that now not on the top. The Lakers got to make some movements. I know they're number 4 spot, but you got a aging LeBron who's 41 years old. Do you bring him back at 42, and will he be able to produce, or do you make some major movements? Boston seems to be coming back to the point that they were at when they won their championship. So you had some of the old guard teams are still there. San Antonio dropped off. They used to be an old guard. They dropped off. Now they're emerging as one of the young guns that are coming back in the league. So tell me some of the teams that it seems like the changing of the guard has finally come upon us right now.
No, I agree with that 100%. I know earlier you even talked off camera. You mentioned about Golden State and we need to stop trying to bring them back from the dead. But from that standpoint, and I think I mentioned this earlier in the year, the factor that it's time maybe for them to break it up, it's cool. It's not a big deal to me because, as Draymond Green said, it's been 13 years in the making. They've been doing this for 13 years, in and out. Before the Kevin Durant trade, after the Kevin Durant leave, moving on or whatever. But you think about that, and now from the standpoint of, I think it's important to let Golden State have their moment. And if it's over, great. But people don't understand. I think it may be over because of the fact of the way the contracts are going. Curry, Green, and Kerr, their contracts are up now. No extensions, no nothing right now. It's open. And I think Jimmy Butler, his contract is up at the end of next year. So it would be a great way for them to all walk away together. And they probably would let Butler go, send him wherever he wants to go because that's how they want him to be in a good place. So if it's over, instead of talking about, oh, I don't know about their old, they need to get rid of Green, maybe it's time collectively let them go. If they want to walk away. I know Steph Curry's thinking about going playing golf, right? Trying to get on the tour somewhere else, or even a different type of way where he's playing golf. So maybe let's honor them if it's over. 13 years in the making. They were amazing at times, and what Curry brought to the team, to the game. Maybe if it is over, cool. I don't have a problem with that. So I'm gonna wait. I think they're gonna make good decisions as to, I don't know if Green wants to come back. If he does, even if they trade him, he might go somewhere else and sign somewhere else. That's fine. Because I know he always want to play in Detroit. Whatever happens, if you break it up, I'm gonna celebrate the dynasty that they had and the way that they were. I'm not gonna make such a big deal of it. So I look at that standpoint. Then you look at Atlanta. Atlanta finally got rid of Trae Young. And I think that's helping them now because everything was all centered around Trae Young. Was it really his fault? He could only do so much. He started giving out more assists, become more of a team player, but they just didn't have the nucleus. But now, minus Trae Young moving on, not just one guy centered around one guy, I think Atlanta is set up. May not be this year, and that's okay, but I think they're set up for the future. You even look at, like I told you earlier about Portland. I like the way that Portland is moving. Seems like got some young guys that want to play. Moving forward, they went back and brought back one of their favorite players back, and he's going to be there as a veteran. So I think that's going to help them as well. Minnesota, no point guard. You have Mike Conley. I guess he got too old. They're going to have to make some moves because Ant can't play point guard and for them to be successful. It's just what it is. That's not who he is. And if you want to be successful, you got to bring somebody else in. The Knicks they brought in Mike Brown. I think really helps them. I still said I think the Knicks are a player and a half away. You need another force. I know people, they are better, but you're missing another force. You got to have another guy. And I don't know who that is, but you got to have another guy. And like I said, they might surprise me and show me that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about if they get past Boston and then if they get past Detroit. But we'll just have to see how that comes out. But I think they still need one more player. Two other things. The Lakers, is gone. I want to see what happens if Luka's there by himself, along with his compadre. I still think they are missing some pieces, and you're going to really see why Luka may average 40 points a game. In order to try to win championships, you got to make better decisions as far as personnel is concerned, so you can kind of hide some of the things Luka's missing, like playing defense for one. Also, to the Clippers, Kawhi, this is a tough situation all the way around. But last but not least, Dallas Mavericks. People were all excited and they went through a cluster, you know what, down there after Anthony Davis getting rid of him, getting rid of everybody. And now the focus is on Cooper Flag. Even Jason Kidd is bought in. Now you got what you want. He's the main focus. Now where do you go? Do you really think Kyrie Irving wants to come back and come back to play with a guy he's not the focus point like he did with Luca and lose? They got a lot of cleaning up to do. They got a lot of changes for them to even get close. And I don't think it was by happenstance that Kyrie Irving didn't play this year.
No, he
I
should
think he
play.
started. Yeah, I think he saw where it was starting to crumble and where they were going. And I would not be surprised if they go, we just made a decision, we're trading Kyrie. Because Kyrie, as much as you may appreciate Texas with the no tax law right down there, do you want to come back to that madness and rebuild? Yeah, and why would you want to do that when you can go somewhere else and help somebody try to win a championship? So that's how I see it. It's great that they have Cooper Flag and they may get another pick that way, but I just don't see Kyrie wanting to just be part of a rebuilding process. There's a lot we put in there, but I think that certain moves here and there for certain teams can start to help the league build and move forward, and even to the point where expansion grows to Las Vegas. And I'm so happy. I think I'm gonna buy me a jersey, put my name on the back of it with the original Supersonics coming back. I love it. I don't know who's on the damn team who's gonna play, but I want a Supersonics jersey. I want the white or the green with that emblem where it comes in with the Sonics kind of across the chest. Yeah, I think I might have to get my name. When I bought a jersey in 100 years, but I think I would just buy that just because I thought how cool they were, how old school they were. I was a big Supersonics fan back in the day. That's when I first started really watching NBA basketball.
Yeah. Let's go to the things that are grinding our gears. We usually call this segment, What's on Your Mind, Son? But the first thing we'll tackle is here is what's grinding my gears. And I mentioned it on shows in the past. I've pretty much stopped watching ESPN. And the reason why that really kind of set me off a few weeks ago is they started putting pro wrestling as a sport on ESPN. I mean, some of the personalities, some of the person we've already talked, go back and watch the archive shows. Some of the personalities just not worth watching. There's one particular show I will not mention, not going to give them any pub, that I stopped watching years ago. The only show I did watch is Pardon the Interruption, and I can catch that anytime I want. But I even turned the cable service that had that ESPN on off because it's like they're not worth watching, and I can look at other outlets to watch college basketball or any games that they feature. But when you start featuring pro wrestling on a sports station and you're really kind of pushing that, that tells me you're not serious about sports. You're not serious about sports, and that you're totally trying to get into the entertainment business. And so that's what's grinding my gears. That's the number one topic that we start off with grinding my gears. What are your thoughts on this, man?
No, I agree with you 100%. They threw me for a loop. That let me know that it's all about the cash, right? When you have whatever something, whatever wrestling, as I still
WWE.
call it,
Yeah.
WWE ever something, whatever it is, wrestling as your cash cow at this time, it just shows you what they're focusing on. And they had WrestleMania, I think last night, and people were into it. So that's where you can make money. Who am I to say differently? I lost Raskin lost me a long time when they stopped cutting the foreheads so they was bleeding and doing all that, giving you real entertainment. This is more about Fantasyland than it is about wrestling. At least back then you could say, "Oh man, I can't wait for them to do whatever," because you knew something was going extraordinary was going to happen.
Mhm.
So them doing that, they kind of lost me. Everybody's so pretty. What happened to the gritty, the rusty, dusty guys like Dusty Rhodes and guys just coming out kind of gut over, a big gut and coming
Over
there
the tight
wrestling
shorts.
looking crazy. Yeah. I mean, what? I mean, Ernie the Cat Lad. I know I'm going old, but
Yeah.
just that factor as I'm looking at it, and also too, I think that there was a void for ESPN when they start losing a lot of the marquee contracts, right?
Yes.
We should think about baseball and some other stuff that at one time when football was always on ESPN and boxing, they lost boxing or they didn't renew the boxing contract. There were a lot of things that they could plug in and whatnot. And now that the college basketball contract is all over the place where you catching all these different games on different things. It's not the same. So they try to connect with college football, but they don't really have that contract for the national championship under toe. So I think ESPN was so desperate to fill in these slots that they find the next hot thing. So the next hot thing has been wrestling. So they plug it in and somebody's watching. I just hope they get their money's worth. But right now, I really don't have a dog in the fight as far as there's nothing really on there that I want to watch. You mentioned partner interruption. The only thing I really get into, and they kind of half-ass do this in my opinion, is some boxing. Every once in a while, you might have MVP with old boy in there, but other than that, it's like that, and they really don't have USC anymore. So it is they're losing me a lot of ways on analysis and things of that nature, where you're almost to a point where I don't have to watch them
No.
because there are other choices. I don't have to watch them because there's not any really personalities that draw me in anymore, right? So that and if the sports is not there, why am I watching you?
Yeah. So yeah, I like I said, the subscriber that I did have, I'm like, I'm not watching this anymore. So there's no sense of paying you anymore for this. So I got off that. So Major League Baseball, I'm gonna let you take that one. Major League Baseball. I've noticed some things in Major League Baseball. I've talked over with Pop yesterday, but you take this over, man. Major League Baseball to me sucks right now.
Well, after 20 games, nothing's really delightful or nothing makes you get excited. There's really only one team, as you mentioned earlier, that's really playing decent baseball according to their record, and that's the Dodgers, who are 15-5 in their division. Other than that, it's 8 losses or everything's connected. Where I think in the Central, the National League Central, the Reds are like in first place. They've lost 8 games, and the Cubs are like in last, but they're only like a game and a half back. Everything's so congested that you're like, maybe they need a warm up. And I know you're going to talk about they should move the start back, but I don't know. I just think it's only 20 games. They're going to warm up. Maybe you need to wait until they get hot and start feeling better with the weather and whatnot. Pitchers getting warmed up and it start to pick up. You start seeing amazing trends. But right now, it's only 20 games in. I'm not looking for perfection, but maybe everybody's playing on the same level until they all warm up, and then you start to see the differences between the teams that are going to be in the upper echelon are going to contend, and then the other ones that are not. But right now, it just seems like it just everybody's feeling their way out, and at the end of the day, you know what it's going to be, how it's going to come out. It's going to be them damn Dodgers. It's going to be the Yankees. It's going to be somebody else too that's spending up money.
I
And
don't
I
even
don't know
know if
about
the
you.
Yankees gonna be there, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but I mean, but really, almost the Mets have been playing halfway decent. The usual suspects that spend a lot of money or whatever like that too. Every year we say this, and you come down to it, and you are in Texas every once in a while, you always say, "I don't know about them Yankees," but they always find a way to be somewhere around at the end. Until the Yankees do not make the playoffs, I'm not discounting them. But anything is possible. Right now, I'm gonna say this. Puma may be a little bit more frustrated than I am about the play right now. I'm just gonna watch casual, be a casual observer. We'll talk about it, but I'm not gonna get all excited or be down either way because I just think it's early and they feeling their way themselves out. May not be good baseball, or maybe people don't want to pay for it, but you can't watch the game on TV anyway, so you might as well listen to it on radio.
Yeah, you mentioned the Mets. They are 0-10 in the last 10, in last place in the National League East. You have other teams, the Blue Jays. They're 3-7, last place in the American. These are supposed to be good teams. These are supposed to be really good teams. Yankees 4-6 in the last 10. they're in second place. They're at a 12-9 record. I mean, it's like maybe you're starting the season too soon. Maybe wait a month, get some more preparation time. Maybe some of these players, not all these teams, have players in the World Baseball Championship, but you have some of them. Maybe you didn't give them enough time to recover. And so you having these horrible records that these teams are barely over 500, if that. And it's really bad baseball at this particular time. The only thing I really like is that the system of contesting balls and strikes. And we mentioned this when we were offline about every year is getting closer and closer to AI taking over the umpire's job because I don't know if they can't see. Maybe they need some eye insurance. I don't know if they're taking money on the side, but it's like it's very obvious that they're beginning not to be able to call decent balls, obvious balls and strikes, and folks are contesting it. And they were supposed to be shortening the games, but now it's like I don't know. I'm thinking AI in the next 5 to 10 years is going to be taking over, and we have no more umpires. They're not needed because they can't tell the difference between a ball and a strike at this particular point, or who's out and who's safe.
I knew you was gonna say this, and I'm trying. It's taking all I
I'm
have not to
for it.
just.
I'm for it. I don't need the human element anymore. I want perfectly called games. I don't need umpires and refs because and we talked about this in basketball too. The traveling call. Go to if there's a possible way to go to AI to call travel, because every year you said this before. Every year they 1 year they get 3 steps, the next year they get 4 extra steps. 5, Harden gets extra step. I don't care how many steps you put in. Harden's going to get an extra step. If they go to 6 steps, Harden's going to get 7. It is really ridiculous how they can't determine travel. And does it make these players in this league, and I know I'm throwing another subject in, does it make the players in the league now that they're so athletic and so much better? How come they can't follow the original rules of traveling if they're so much greater and better? And Michael Jordan, you started this with that hop turnaround, taking off. You started this stuff. You started this. I'm blaming this on you.
I'm so confused right now. I don't know where to start. We're gonna start with baseball. We're gonna start with baseball. So there's something about, for me, the human element of baseball. My only issue with the AI, if they move that to balls and strikes, the point of certain umpires always had different strike zones that they call, right? It's kind of like playing basketball, and certain referees would call more touch fouls or let you play, right? It's always been based on what the referees or that crew was doing. So you turn this AI on baseball like that, balls and strikes. Who determines what the strike zone is? Who determines that?
It would be a standard strike zone based on the players, height and build.
But we now you're asking a robot or a computer or whatever to determine that, and like that can malfunction as well. And I mean, that's what they do. That's what they do. Maybe because I'm not used to it. I'm accustomed to the human element of watching it and being angry. And yeah, I think something about that human element when something happens or you feel like you got robbed, then teams sometimes get pissed and they play better because they mad because they want to prove a point. I've seen that all the way around. Something about a human element that goes in that circle. Now we all want to be. You mentioned about being perfect. It's never going to be perfect. Give me that human element. Everybody wants to be perfect. It wasn't perfect. You think about to a point of there was a time in baseball where they didn't let people of color play baseball. They had what they wanted. You still overcame that. Now some of the best players are of color have been for years. I know that's kind of going off the tangent, but nothing's perfect. Let's keep the human element on it. You already don't have some other folks playing. I want the human element to stay in it. You want to change it up a little bit,
Yeah.
not all the way. Not all the way. Now let's flip over to basketball real quick. You mentioned about the traveling. They can't do that in basketball because they opened Pandora's box to traveling. You went from standard two and a half or two steps or whatever, traveling to now three to four to five, six. James Harden getting seven. Every year it changes. Every freaking year, James Harden get a step. Now you want to shut it down and go back to what James Naismith had? Hell, we're
Yes.
gonna be at the beach basket back again.
So
There's no,
here's the
huh?
reason why. I feel like Frank Costanza. I got a lot of grievances. I believe that these younger players who are supposed to be more talented and more athletic can't abide by the original rules. And I said this to you before. If they call the standard travel rules, how much time does an NBA game take? About 2.5 hours, right? Those games would be 4 hours. They be blowing the whistle so much because these guys can't do the right moves or need 4 steps to execute some kind of athletic move that they want to do. And so they're letting them go do that, and it's ruining the game. It's really ruining the game where people don't know what's traveling anymore. I know what's traveling, and every time I see it, I go, travel, travel. I even texted you the other night, like, that's a travel, because I was so frustrated. So let's go by the standard and original rules instead of just making the game easier for these so-called super talented players that are so much more advanced than the players in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. They're not, to me, but they're getting these rules, these lapses, and these rule changes that are making it so much easier for them to get to the basket and score more points. But it's a violation. And you're not as great as the players who had to abide by those rules. You're not, because they had to do that. And think about if Dr. J had the opportunity to get 4 or 5 steps, how many more dunks he would have had in the game. Let Kareem Abdul-Jabbar get away with some of these, making them steps and with the long stride he had and being able to get to the basket. It's like, this is crazy. I can't do it. Like I said, I got a lot of grievances. It ain't Festivus yet, but I got a lot of grievances, people.
Wow. I mean, and I see that when you talk about the traveling and moving like that too. The biggest thing though is they've opened the door so much. They keep making changes. You can't go back now.
Why
You
not?
can't because one, these guys cannot adjust, and as you mentioned, we're gonna have 4-hour games. So they can't. So now you might need to adjust or tweak it or whatever, right? Kind of work it that way. But you've opened the box to where they're doing all these jumps and moves and whatever. The game will be all messed up and to the point where we don't understand how it's going to move. So with that being said, you got to make some tweaks, some little changes here and there, and just kind of say these guys are athletic. We've opened the door. We're going to have to adjust it. I mean, you think about to a point what used to be a common denominator in the game, hand checking is archaic, right? How dare you put your hand on the guy moving and you pushing him out the way, making his shot harder. It's almost like archaic. It's almost like it's a crime. Back nowadays, hand checking would be considered a crime. So with that being said, you say, "Oh wow, I don't know how this is going to go," but just in general, I think it's too far out the box. You just have to adjust it, not give another. Okay, now we're at our limit. Seven's our limit to how many steps you can take.
Oh, no,
Don't
no.
just
Here's here's
no.
here's where the adjustment should happen. I'm sorry to cut you off. Here's where the adjustment should happen. Next training camp, you bring referees in different training camps, and like, we're going to original rules, and you're going to learn how to play the game the way the game is supposed to be played. If you do these 3, 4, 5 steps, it's going to be called. So let's start in the training camps. Let's start in the AAUs. This is a travel. You're not getting those hippity hop steps. You're not going to get these gather steps and all this other stuff. This is a travel. And if you don't abide by it, then say you have 3 or 4 that you try to do, technical foul. Along with the violation, technical foul until you get it right, because it's gone too far. It has ruined the game. I see it and I go, I can't watch this. I'll go watch baseball. I'll go watch something else because I can't see them even in a breakaway. They're traveling. You saw it in college. Breakaway travels. I'm like, how you traveling a breakaway? You by yourself. You don't need to travel. How do you let that go? It's going too far, bro. It's going too far.
I agree with you as far as you saying they're going too far, but they ain't coming back. They showed you that. We watched the games. They're not coming back. Plus, two, the main issue is going to be your superstars are going to have trouble adjusting too. So they're not going to like, well, he can't play because he doesn't know how to adjust. They're not going to go back. Now it's to the point where people are watching it and the newer generations and the newer basketball players have come accustomed to it. It's old fogies like us that are we turn it off because we can't watch it anymore. So I'm gonna stay that old fogey and let them have that game. Like the game I know is passes by. I'm gonna try to find my way in between what they're doing and these nine steps and the James Harden five stepper, whatever it is. So I'm gonna try to find my way, which is why when it comes to NBA basketball, I don't really watch it the way I used to until playoffs, right? College basketball changed a little bit from the standpoint of even when you take a charge, the giving ground. My hands up, I'm moving. I don't have to stand still anymore. I'm giving ground. I don't know. I'm trying to adjust as an older guy to the way that they're playing with these new rules and new things, and hopefully somewhere I can find still a little enjoyment where I can watch a Lamelo Ball that when he's not tripping somebody or whatever the situation allegedly, I can find some good, solid entertainment and watch some new players come up the ranks, and the rules don't change so much.
You know what? When traveling is cute, when you watch the little pee-wee leagues where they pick up the ball and they run to the basket, it's cute then. They don't know the rules. But it's not cute when you got college players and NBA players doing the same damn thing. It's not cute. It's not cute. So, you know what? If they want to go that far, let's get. You ever see the leagues where they have the bouncy surfaces where folks are playing basketball and they bounce up? Let's go to that. Let's go to entertainment. Let's go to WWE way and just entertain folks with jumping up in the air on a trampoline and dunking the ball and going blocking shot and tackling people and all that other stuff. Because that's the way it's looking to me now, and it's not too far off. It's not too far off. But if you're gonna run with the basketball, it was cute when you were 7 and 8. Y'all grown men. It ain't cute no more. It ain't athletic anymore. You can't tell me you better than the guys in the 70s, 80s, and 90s when they couldn't get away with that stuff. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me, oh, we're more athletic and we're better players. You can't tell me that because you can't do it under the same rules they did it in. So miss me with that. I'm sorry, miss me with that.
Once again on this show, maybe for the first time ever, I'm going to do something that is not popular. I want to recognize the chair, and I want to defer, and he gets the last word.
We'll be back next week. Peace. I got grievances.